This is John Baldessari here, speaking on the Dayton model of recovery, also known as the Slugs model of recovery. I want to make clear what my intentions are. I simply want to educate the public about the nature of the afflictions of addiction, mental illness, and PTSD, and their recovery. I believe what we've been lacking in this whole look and this whole effort over these years is a very clear-cut definition of recovery and a direct, clear pathway to recovery. Full recovery is what I reference here, long-term recovery from any addiction, mental illness, and PTSD. My belief, based on 40 years of direct close-up observations of people going through treatment and accessing recovery, shows me that there are 5 things that we need to understand and know about the afflicted person and what they're dealing with, and 5 things that that person needs to do in order to recover. The first thing to know is the person is truly sick. They have a brain-based illness that's been confirmed by medical research. There are clear-cut differences in terms of any brain imaging that's done, and thought patterns and aspects of symptomology of these afflictions, and the damage it's caused in terms of thought processes, feeling states, behaviors, actions, that kind of thing. Clearly, an illness that is oftentimes fatal. The person, second thing to know is the person is very lonely. They're isolated, separated, apart from family, friends, the past acquaintances. Just experience a deep sense of isolation and loneliness. Just comes with it. The third thing to know and understand is that this person is unable to, on their own power, fix this. They require a program of recovery that involves a lot of other people. The fourth thing to know is that the person has a lot of guilt around, letting people down or letting themselves down, and not following through or fulfilling, their potential or whatever. So they feel guilty about that. And the fifth thing to know is that there's a lot of shame that comes with this, a deep core of I'm not good enough, I'll never be any better, I'm hopelessly flawed, maybe I don't even deserve to live, that kind of thing. So the solution to this thing for a person with addiction is sobriety comes first. That's the first thing the person needs to do, is find a path to sobriety. There are many paths to sobriety. There's only one path to recovery. There's many paths to sobriety. So the addicted person needs to find a way to get abstinent. Sober usually requires a medically supervised situation, detox, that kind of thing. For mental illness, the first step is stability or stabilization. The person presents to a crisis center with a mental health crisis, or to a caregiver, medical professional. They're oftentimes prescribed medication in order to overcome or actually stabilize and begin the process of overcoming their mental illness for the long term. So that first step, sobriety for addictions, stability for mental illness, and for PTSD, the key word here is safety. The person needs to get themselves to a safe place. If they're in an environment where abuse is occurring, they need to take themselves out of that environment. I worked in a children's advocacy center for years, and we put a heavy emphasis on safety. The first thing that would need to occur when a kid was being abused is they had to be removed from that environment. If there was a perpetrator in that environment, the kid was out of there, or the perpetrator was out of there, one way or the other. But they had to be in a safe situation. We had to create a safe environment in our clinic and our facility where kids could come in and know that their perpetrator's not going to show up, or they're not going to be harmed in any way. They're really going to be cared for, and that trust and that feeling of safety is established in order for them to begin a process of recovery. Second thing a person needs to do is open up to that love and that caregiving and that help that's coming their way, and the love and support of their family and friends. All of that they need to open to and actually embrace and welcome. And then they can start doing some self-love kind of things, and then, express love to others. So that's the second thing. Third thing a person needs to do is join a support group, what I call unity, where they are with like afflicted people. So if they're addicted, they're with fellow recovering addicts. If they're mentally ill, those folks are who they're getting their support from in that setting. And if they have PTSD, fellow survivors and victims of abuse, that sort of thing, is their support group. The fourth thing that needs to occur, or what the person needs to do in order to access full recovery, is what I call growth. There are many pathways to growth, just as like there are many pathways to unity, as there are many pathways to love, sobriety, stability, and safety, in many ways. With growth, oftentimes it involves psychotherapy with a licensed provider to deal with family of origin issues, trauma-related issues, those kinds of things. Be able to talk about that and be heard and understood and cared for in that way. So psychotherapy is one way, working at 12 steps. If you haven't been in a 12-step program, that provides growth. Any kind of self-improvement activity, reading self-help books, initiating an exercise or nutrition awareness program, those kinds of things, just to get better. Taking classes, learning a trade or a skill, those kinds of things are all growth-oriented. That needs to be in there as a fourth piece to the recovery puzzle. Many pathways to growth. The fifth thing is spirituality. The person needs to practice meditation, prayer, connection with nature, involvement in discussions around higher power or divine or metaphysical aspect of life, the universe, that sort of thing. Those kinds of thoughts and discussions and that kind of focus is very important in the fifth component of this thing. There are many pathways to spirituality, but it actually is all about practice. Practicing those things each and every day to get centered, to get connected, to experience something more spiritually inspiring, all-encompassing, bright light, universal love kind of stuff. So doing things each day is part of a routine, maybe a ritual that gets you centered and connected to some sort of higher purpose or meaning in life. So what I want to provide here, I want to be real clear about this. It's a framework, and it's a definition. It's clarity. I want people to understand what these afflictions are all about and what recovery is all about. It's very clear-cut to me. I studied it up close for over 40 years in treatment settings, and this holds up. The path to recovery involves sobriety first for addiction, stability for mental illness, safety for PTSD, followed up by love from everywhere and anywhere, unity, that joining up with like-afflicted people for the support groups, growth, self-improvement activities of all kinds, hundreds of options there, and spirituality, practicing those activities which connect us to something larger than ourselves, something more all-encompassing, inspiring, uplifting. It's yours. The path is there for you to follow and embrace and recovery, life becomes pretty darn great when you get on this recovery train. Best wishes to all of you. Love you.